I have the leftover from the pork belly and the sausage from the Easter, and I am going to do, we called it in Polish, lecho. It's basically sausage with bell peppers and the tomato. It's like a stew. So since I have a pork belly, I'm just going to cut few slices, and it's already nice and fatty, so this is going to give me a nice fatty amount so I can fry everything on it, and it's going to be a really good, delicious flavor of smokiness from my smoker. If you do not have a pork belly, you don't have to use it. It's perfectly fine if you just use a little bit of oil and just fry your onions and your sausage on it. It doesn't have to be Polish sausage, it can be any sausage on it. So it can be even hot dogs, it works too. Anything that you have in your kitchen can be used for it. Like my mom, she even adds a zucchini to her lecho, and me, I don't, because I like just the bell pepper and just the tomatoes. Cut that in small cubes. And let's warm this up so it starts melting. And how much of the onion? So this is a pretty big onion. I'm just going to cut like a little bit more than 1/3, and we're just going to, can be cut in the strings, it doesn't have to be. So let me show you. Okay, and this I'm just going to cut in half in here. Here's spicy onion. Man, my eyes. Let's cut our sausage. So the sausage I'm just going to cut. You can cut them in the cubes. Oh, it looks so good when it's cold. Here we go. Smells really nicely. So I cut it that whole length in half, and now I'm just going to cut the slices of it. It doesn't have to be precise. Oh, let me melt. So when it's going to start melting even more, then I'm going to add the onions to it. So let's leave it. They look really nice. They're going to be nice and crunchy. Alright, so let's add the onions. So I have like a small cup of the onions. You don't need too much of it. If you like more onions, you can do it. This is a very universal and versatile recipe. You can change whatever you like and how much you like. That's the thing with it. Okay. Sorry for my dog. Well, I just got the delivery and she is not happy. If you do not like that much greasiness, you can always take off some of it and just leave it on the side. Depending on how much more you will need, then you will add more. Guys, I can smell that onion. It's getting nice. I'm not going to wait for the color to change. I'm just going to add the sausage right now. So here we go. This is my sausage. I had like, I think I had 4 links of the sausage. Okay, let's mix it and let's fry that sausage. And we're going to take care of our bell peppers. I have already cleaned and cut it in half bell peppers. It's 9 red bell peppers. You can use green, but I like the red ones. Whoop, one almost escaped. So we're going to cut them in half, and then this we're going to cut in the strings. Here we go. So basically I want something like that. It doesn't have to be too much of the equal, but you want the strings. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. Ready the sausage. You can of course add more sausage. My bell pepper is ready too, so let's add. Okay. I'm not going to add more because it's going to be too much for right now. So let's mix that, and it's going to lower down when it's going to cook a little bit more. I'm going to ask why as much of a bell pepper. It's bell pepper stew, so yes, you do need more of a bell pepper than usual. Add more of the bell pepper. I'm going to add over here a liquid. When that bell pepper is going to start warming up, it's going to get some water in it. So at this point I am not going to add any water. Also, I'm going to add over here tomatoes, and they are going to drop some liquid too, so I don't want this too watery. I want this to be a nice, thick and delicious. Add any kind of color of the bell peppers, green, yellow, and red ones, or you can mix them. That's not an issue. In my home, we always had, in my parents' garden, we always had the red bell peppers, so this is what I got used to. We always went to harvest the bell peppers, and then we were doing that lecho to leave this cover so the fluid can get distributed in that pan. And we're going to have it on until the bell pepper is going to be soft, not crunchy anymore, and then I'm going to add tomatoes. Here, 4 tomatoes. I'm going to cut them in squares. So let me cut that middle part off. You don't need that hard part. Okay. It can be cut in a rough 4 squares, like this big. If you do not like the skin on the tomato, you can always remove it. Just pour some hot water over it, and the skin is going to come off easily. Okay, let's see our stew. Here we go. It looks like it's getting better. I'm not sure if you can see how much fluid we have over there. See, and I didn't add any of the fluid in. It's all bell pepper. This is why I don't want fluid to add to it. Okay, now I'm going to add all those tomatoes in here. Let's mix it. We're going to leave this on, and the tomato is going to release the even more juices, so you will see how it's going to look like very soon. Let's reveal it. Okay. So this is why I did not add any of the fluid, because it will release so much fluid that you do not want to add even more. Okay, definitely I need more salt and pepper. Let's add some pepper. All right, guys, and it's ready. And basically it took me 45 minutes to make it. Most of making it. The worst part was to chop everything. And eat this with the bread. You can eat this with rice. I just cooked some rice for my work. I'm going to have that at work. Or you can add this with the potatoes. So it is so versatile, and you have to try it. All right, with this all done, we can turn it off. And for spices, just salt and pepper, and you don't need anything else. Let's try some on the side. Ooh. I love the liquid, that's the best part. Try. So good. Such a good memory of my childhood. My mom, she made that very often, especially during the summer when we had in our garden the bell peppers and the tomatoes. Everything was fresh and so good tasting. You can add any sausage that you like. It doesn't have to be made by you. It can be store-bought, Polish sausage, not Polish sausage, any sausage, hot dog sausage even. But use the fresh tomatoes because they are actually going to give you the juice that you want, and they are not as sourish as the tomatoes from the can, and it's so much fun to make that. And one more dinner for you with a sausage, and also a surprise with the ribs that I made for Easter. This is why I made more of them. So number one thing, I need to make a broth. I do not have any more of my home broth. The soup that I'm going to make very soon, you can also add just the water, but it's better with your homemade broth. So I'm just going to quickly make a veggie home broth. So for that, I'm going to need Italian parsley, few sticks of the celery root, not too big piece because it's stronger than the celery sticks, but I love celery root. Parsnip, I'm going to cut in smaller pieces because it's going to be too big to cook it for quick. I just want this to release all the flavor pretty quickly into that soup. And this is a cabbage. We call that Italian cabbage. I don't remember how is it really called over here. Just look for those kind of like a curly cabbage things. This is really good in the soup. It gives really amazing flavor. A leek. And I am going to use 2 pieces of carrots. Also, I'm going to cut them in smaller pieces so they release all the flavor quicker into the broth. I need to warm it for 45 minutes. One, we are going to leave it for later. Alright, so honestly, the soup is not going to be the broth, just the broth. It's going to be a sauerkraut soup. So I buy a Polish sauerkraut in the jars in one of the international markets. I already pulled out the juice from it, so it depends on how sour it is. This is how sour you're going to have that soup. The thing with this soup, you want it sourish. If you do not like too much sour, the trick to remove the sour taste from that sauerkraut is water. How much? Until it covers it. So it covers everything. So put this on the heater and cook this. When you see the water boiling, remove that water. And by removing the water, you are removing the sourness from your sauerkraut. Depending on how less sour you want, and at the same time how sour that sauerkraut is, this is how many times you need to remove that water and add the fresh water and boil it again. That process needs to be then repeated dependingly how much sourness you want to remove. For me, I am not going to do the process because actually in the soup I like sour taste. So, and that sauerkraut is not too sour like I used to have it, some of them. So I'm just going to boil it. Since I'm not going to remove any of the sourness from it, so I'm going to go straight into the spices. I'm going to add some allspice. Oh, that's too much. And how much? Actually, I love allspice in that soup. So I'm going to add 5 pretty big ones, allspice balls. And I'm going to add 2 bay leaves. I think we're going to add, this is the ribs that I smoked. So I'm going to add that into that sauerkraut. So they are smoked, so they're going to give this nice smokiness into that sauerkraut. I'm going to add 1 more because I want more meat into my sauerkraut soup. Okay. All right. This pot I'm going to put on the stove and I'm going to cook it for 45 minutes because I want that sauerkraut to be soft. I don't want that crunchy taste or anything. I just want the soft sauerkraut, and that meat is going to release all the juices into sauerkraut. Right guys, and for that soup we just have to now add all the spices, and we are going to use a salt. I am not going to use too much of a salt because on the end I want to check the saltiness of my soup, and then I can adjust all the spices when the soup is almost ready. And also I like to add a fresh cracked black pepper into the soup. So just adjust whatever you like to your taste. Don't add too much of the spices on the first moment. Another thing I like for my broth is lubczyk, and it's called a loverage. I'm going to add that spice into the description. It's a very good spice for cooking any soup or stew, and I love that spice into my soups. So just add a little bit of it and then adjust the temperature to like a medium so it doesn't cook too fast. The sauerkraut is cooking, the broth is cooking. Now we need to do onion. This is a small onion, so I'm going to go and use like a bigger piece of the onion, and we're going to cut that. To cut this in the actually cubes. You can cut this in the bigger ones, it doesn't matter. Everything is going to go and soften up in the soup. All right, here we go. Into the separate bowl. I have over here 1 carrot, this fun looking peeler. I'm going to peel this carrot. So what I'm looking for is like this, of course. All right, that piece I'm going to cut for my dog. Next thing, we are going to need potatoes. And we are going to cut them, and we're going to cut them in the cubes, like a medium-sized cubes. Last thing we are going to need is a sausage. Unfortunately, I do not have any more of my homemade sausage. What you can do, even if you do not have your own sausage. So let's cut that in the cubes. Okay, so the sauerkraut is getting ready and the ribs are getting nice and stuffed. I'm going to add some fat in here to just fry our stuff together. So for my part, I'm going to use almost done. It's called, it's a lard. In Polish we call that smalc. I made it with the extra pork belly that I had left. And I'm going to use that thing with all those pieces of pork belly. That's the best part. And let me know if you guys wanted to see how I made it. The great thing to use to fry stuff, or the thing I love with that is to just spread a little bit on the bread. And this reminds me of my childhood. I'm going to add a little bit of my avocado oil, just tiny bit, like a big tablespoon of the greasy parts. Okay, now let's add our onion and fry it. Frying the onions, I am going to pull the ribs. They are all done. Onions is getting nice and fried. Now I'm going to add the sausage. So I just want semi-fried. It doesn't need to be crispy. Add the potatoes. We're going to add our carrots. And if it's coming to the spices, we are going to add one more thing to that patch, and that's going to be the margarine. So I'm going to add like 1 tablespoon of margarine into that, like a heaping spoon. I love margarine. That for like 2 minutes. Our broth is ready, so now I can add that broth into that pot. Let broth is still warm. Just don't add anything that is in the pot, just the liquid part into here. Mix that. We are going to keep this for 15 minutes to cook. I do not want to add at this point the sauerkraut because these potatoes are not fully cooked yet. If you add sauerkraut into here, it will not cook the potatoes. Perfect. Here I have all those ribs that I pulled the bones out and I cut them in smaller pieces. There we go. To add that into our soup. Do it too much. I don't know how I do it, but I always finish up with a huge pot that is like almost overflowing. Let's see if we need more black pepper or maybe salt. Oh my god, this is so good. I would say just tiny bit of more salt. That's it. To add a little bit more of black pepper. 1 hour 15 minutes and the dinner is ready. Add some into my plate because I am hungry. That soup is hot. It is such a good soup. Fun fact, my mom, she used to make also the sauerkraut soup, but I hated it. I hated when she was doing it because she was just first making a sauerkraut stew, and then whatever was left over, she was just adding the homemade broth, and she was claiming the sauerkraut stew. And oh my god, I was crying. Whenever I had to eat that soup, I was crying. So when I got on my own, in my own house, I found this recipe, I'm not sure even where, and I tried it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it a try. I have too much of sausage, I have sauerkraut, and it's cold outside. I just want something comforting. And when I tried that soup, oh my god, I fell in love with it. So, sorry mom, my soup wins, you're lost. So, here you go guys. Right. It's time for the dinner guys. Have an amazing day. If you liked my dinner propositions with a sauerkraut or with the bell pepper, the first one, both of them are with a sausage. So even if you have your homemade sausage or not, it is still worth of doing those recipes. So have a great day. I'll see you soon with a new video, and if you liked it content, subscribe and press the like button, and I will see you soon. Bye.